Hi, second grade teachers. I hope you're all having a great week, great start to the school, or great start to the semester, I should say. I am reaching out to tell you a little bit about our learning for this week. We are adding 2 3-digit numbers. Before we do that, though, we're starting with adding 10 and 100 mentally using a task. Okay, or not a task, sorry, an Engage New York lesson. And you'll notice with that lesson that I've kind of picked little pieces out. I'm not going word for word. I did try to hone in on, because it had adding and subtracting 10 and 100. Since we're just adding these numbers for right now, I took out the adding ones took out the adding ones and used those in my lessons. So you will see that in the work that I do with the kids and in my lesson plans as well. So that one's a little bit different of a lesson just because it's a different format. Where we're looking for patterns, we're trying to do it quickly and in their heads. Then we move into Darren's calculator, which is a task, but there's also a supplemental that's attached to that. So I actually had Darren's calculator be my third launch in this problem, and I did that because we're adding 2-digit to 1-digit or 3-digit numbers, and that is a different concept. So I wanted to give them practice doing it with 2 other launches first, and then being able to justify their thinking with Darren's problem. So I ended up running out of time and ended up summarizing on that third day. So on that third day's lesson, you're actually going to see Darren's calculator come back up. I've got the work at the bottom, and I summarize it quickly before we start adding 2 3-digit numbers. Day 3, I go into adding our 3-digit numbers, but I do it with just base 10 blocks, and we are not regrouping. So you're going to see some of the same patterns that we did with adding 2-digit numbers with adding 3-digit numbers. So for this week, you're going to see starting out no regrouping, base 10, and then regrouping with base 10. For next week's lessons, you're going to see the same pattern where we have number line, no regroup, number line with regroup, partial sums, no regroup, partial sums, regroup. So there's a good 6 days with that work, and then we wrap up this unit adding 3-digit numbers with a supplemental lesson 3C, which is 3-digit addition with any strategy. So I have actually put some independent practice on the page. I've also added a couple different websites that you can share with your kids that have manipulatives that they can use online. There's one that I've shared before on my page, but then there's a new one that I actually learned from one of our coaches in one of my learnings PDs this week. And so you might have already heard of it, but I'm going to add that link to the site as well so that kids who don't have these tools with them at home can go on there and use that site. Another little tip that you might find helpful, and maybe you already know this and I'm just kind of slow on my roll, but if you're doing virtual learning with your kids on Zoom, you could pull up that site, and if they need practice moving and manipulating those hundreds, tens, and ones, you can actually give them remote control access to your screen, and they can move that. So you can share your screen, and then they can actually use that remote control access to move it around and practice that with a little bit more of your support and structure. Just a thought, wanted to make sure that I shared it. But again, our work today is for these next 2 weeks, are adding 3-digit numbers together, starting with our adding just 10s and 100, or 10 and 100 in a snap, going to 2-digit and 3-digit for one day, and then we go full throttle into adding 2 3-digit numbers, but we've broken it down, regroup, no regroup, regroup, no regroup, regroup, and we're doing that with each of our different strategies. Base 10, which is that hands on it, doing that work. Concrete to represent concrete, right? And then we're going to move on that representation with our number line, and then we're going to get into that abstract idea with our partial sums, and then we'll bring it all together at the end. Hope this is helpful. Please reach out if you have any questions or need anything. Hope you have a fantastic spring semester and we get through these cold months and this virtual learning. I know we all can do it, so keep trucking, guys. You're doing a great job.